What is up, Jabronis? JJ back here from Pure Bets. Talk a little MLB. Saturday, April the 15th. At least this one we titled the video Saturday properly. I think last week I saw it was titled Thursday. Tough scene. You hate to see it. But yeah, ultimately another Saturday in the books. A little cooler today, especially since it's been pretty hot recently. And then randomly just gotten a little more chilly. It's pretty spread out as far as the weather as well. Like it seems like it's pretty cold in most spots. But anyway, yeah, looking forward to the slate. It was nice to pick up a win yesterday. I had Phillies first 5, laid the half run. So yeah, looking to build on that a bit. I got a few plays I really like. I mean, they are somewhat contrarian, but you find value where you can. What's up, Mike, Eric, DGen Stoner, Randy, Wake and Bake, exactly. Hope everybody's well all around. But yeah, like I said, looking forward to this slate. I made a few bets for it, so we'll talk through them. But I guess without further ado, we could probably go right into it. So I'm actually going to be in New York City today, so I will be relatively close to Yankee Stadium as far as weather goes. Again, a little chilly. I know they're saying like 70, but I promise you it don't feel like 70 here. But it might rain as well. But to be honest, a bet I really like, I think it's really got decent value, is Twins money line today. I got it 116. I guess maybe if you wait, maybe you can get a better number. Because I would presume the Yankees are going to be somewhat popular here. But that doesn't really matter. What matters is what these numbers move to. So I do like the Twins today, and it's for a few reasons. So obviously they did capture the first 2 games of the series. Yesterday they did win, and you might look at the box score and say, oh, they won a 4-3 game. That they likely used all their best pen arms. But believe it or not, so did the Yankees. Clay Holmes is the one that blew the save. They brought him in to try to grab a 2-inning save, I believe. But he blew it in the 8th, and then they just didn't bring him back out for the 9th. And then the Twins used some of their guys, but very low pitch counts. So I would expect the Twins to have be a full go. I expect both teams to basically be a full go as far as their pens. So I'm not as worried there. Tyler Mahle, yeah, I did back him a few starts ago, or 1 start ago. I do like Mahle, as long as he's not like walking dudes. Like he's typically a really strong pitcher. And the interesting thing with the Yankees is like when they see a guy for the first time, like they're just a weird team that way. I don't know what it is. They tend to just really struggle more often than not. I don't want to be clear. I'm not sitting here telling you it's Bible, but more often than not, they tend to struggle with guys that don't have a lot of reps on them. The only guy that's seen him a lot is Rizzo from his National League days. But for the most part, this team up and down has like practically no experience against Tyler Mahle. Now on the other end, Domingo Germán, I mean, you want to talk about a fall from grace. Like this dude looks like a mess. And I'm not just talking his ERA here in the 2 starts. Like his advanced stuff looks just as bad, like even worse. And granted, this Twins lineup is hitting, okay, and that matters. I don't love this lineup up and down. But you got, I don't want to call this an opening day lineup from the Twins because every team's now starting to deal with injuries in their own way. But this lineup's not bad. I know they like Julian at the top now. And let's be honest, he's been better than Gordon. I don't know if they've been leading off with Gordon or not, but Gordon's been awful. I think he's hitting less than 100. So, yeah, it's not like it's a crime to not see him in the lineup. Like I said, you look up and down. A lot of these dudes in the Twins are just hitting. And their bullpen's been decent. The Yanks, look, obviously you go 1 through 5 at the top. Worrisome, like always. But, Franchi Cordero, do I really care? Taylor Mahle, if the one thing he does well, it's tend to limit the home run ball. Granted, of course, he, like any other pitcher, can have blow-up starts. And look, it could be a blow-up start today. Who knows? But I think overall, this bottom piece of the lineup, it doesn't really scare me much. So I think lineup-wise, it's not like a crazy advantage, if any, for the Yanks. I definitely think I'm getting the better pitcher currently. I think Domingo Germán has much more upside than a guy like Tyler Mahle. But something's just wrong. I don't know if it's mechanical. I don't know. It's hard to say. But I just don't trust Germán at all. And again, we already saw the Twins get to some of the best pen arms that the Yankees had yesterday. His team's feeling good about themselves, right? They've won 2 in a row. They're obviously trying to win a 3rd game here from the Yanks. So yeah, I do like the spot. I think it's decent value. To me, this game should be practically a pick'em. More because Germán has just been tough to watch. Even if you say the Yanks should be like -120 here, you'd still be getting, 16 cents of value on the Twins. And I do believe if you wait a little longer, you might even be able to get better right before this game starts in an hour. So yeah, ultimately I like the Twins. I think it's decent value there. So that's where I fired. What's up, Yeezy? Snyder, what's up, Mark? Eric, how's the Fax Man doing? He's good. He's doing all right. I just actually spoke to him 2 days in a row. I spoke to him Thursday and Friday, so he's doing okay. Doing his thing. All right, so we will move on. So Tigers Giants. So DeSclafani, we did hit an under with him from Sunday, and Michael Lorenzen, absolute freak athlete, by the way, Lorenzen, which is kind of crazy to see that he's 6'3", 217, because the dude looks like he's like 240. Like, I don't know if you've seen him. It just looks like a monster. But anyway, pitching wise, he's been up and down, and obviously now he's with Detroit. I think this is his first start of the season. I don't like these spots for teams. I get it. San Francisco's in a decent spot with DeSclafani, but I do think DeSclafani's pitching above his weight class. However, will the Tigers expose that? Probably not. And Lorenzen's a bit of a wild card today, so these types of starts, you can even have numbers that make sense. It just doesn't. At some point, you still got to look at things outside the box, and there's nothing I really like about this game at all. So we'll just move on. White Sox Orioles. Orioles have been a nice little story to start the year. Tremendous hitting. We knew that they had a decent pen because they had a few good pen arms last year. Their starting pitching is, okay. I mean, it's improved, but it's still not great. I know some of these guys have upside, but tough to love. But speaking of guys with upside that are tough to love, Michael Kopech. Kopech. I've heard it pronounced different ways. I'm sure there is a right way. I don't know. This kid had so much upside. I mean, he's basically a 20-year-old flamethrower. And I don't know. You don't talk about the emotional side of things, right? But he's now, I think, been in a few different relationships. Who knows what type of impact that's having on him. But needless to say, like, he looks a shell of what he has looked like in the past. He's just becoming a guy that just throws gas and can barely locate any other pitches. So yeah, you see Baltimore here as a small favorite. Kyle Gibson's typically pretty reliable, especially when he faces teams that have all right-handed bats or mostly right-handed bats, because he's typically pretty tough on righties. And you look at this White Sox line, it's like Benintendi and who? Oscar Colas. El Grandal come from the left side. But I mean, outside of that, this is a stream of right-handed bats. And on the Orioles end, again, Kopech has just kind of been like exposed in many ways. Here's what I would argue in this game. I would argue that there's decent value on the under. Not enough for me to want to fire. You're talking a day where, I mean, let me look at the temperature out there. Like, it can't be that warm in Chicago today. There's just like no way. I mean, I'm not going to say it's cold in Chicago. I just would find it hard to believe that it's like warm. But who knows? I mean, it's actually a lot warmer than I thought. I mean, shit, 80 degrees in Chicago today, which is kind of crazy because here it's going to feel chillier. Wind blowing side to side. So I will say it's warmer than I thought it was. But when you talk about potential upside here, I get it. Kyle Gibson, road favorite, laughable. He's on a new team though. I mean, I don't really think that even matters. Like, I don't know. Like, if you're pitching at home, like for instance, like GS, like if you take that, what's up, Leroy? Like if you take that GS, right? Like if a guy was really good at home, like let's say he was in Philly, even a hitter's ballpark, right? Guy was at home. I think this is Gibson, right? Anyway, Gibson was Philly. So, and then moves to a different team. Like, does the first start he has at home in the new ballpark, do you leverage those home stats? Like, I don't. It doesn't even make sense to. It's a new ballpark. So I'm sure Kyle Gibson's still getting his feet out under him or from under him. But I don't know. Like the road stuff, the road woes, I don't know. Does that translate team to team? I guess it could in theory. It really depends. I think overall, I get the sentiment though. It's not like I'm betting the Orioles, but I do think there's certain value on the under here, just because if you median out like peak performance from both these pitchers versus woeful performance from both these pitchers, you're just going to land somewhere in between a total that likely should be 8.5 and a first 5 total that should be 4.5 at normal vig. I think you're going to get a little extra pennies in your favor if you're betting under here, 4.5 first 5. I don't love the spot enough to bet it, but I do think there's certain value here. This just feels like a pretty decent overreaction line, but for the total. But again, it is warmer than I thought in Chicago today. So take that for what it's worth. But yes, if I had to bet the game, I would bet the full game under. You're also getting 2 decent pens, by the way, with both these squads. So yeah, that would be where I'd fire, but definitely not enough for value on mine. Cardinals, Pirates, Steven Matz. I don't even know how this dude's in the league anymore. Like Steven Matz just cannot get right-handed bats out. Now Rosie Contreras has been a guy I like. This line feels pretty big, all things considered. I know the Cardinals going to have a better year than the Pirates more than likely. But wow, this is an awful lot of respect for Steven Matz. So I don't usually bet against. I don't usually bet teams like this in this spot anyway. This in the Pirates, like a pitcher in Steven Matz, who's already, from the market's perspective, already not a good pitcher in many eyes, and he's not pitching well. So you typically get these like extra inflated lines. However, like this line feels a little extra padded in favor of the Cardinals. But I will say this, when I bet these spots, I typically just prefer to bet like the Pirates team total over instead of betting like the Pirates plus 1.5. Because like I like Rosie Contreras, but like I haven't liked what I've seen from him this year. And I know it's easy to say, right? Well, ERA is 8. I was on him a start ago or 2 starts ago, one of his first starts where I think I had the under, and I want to say it didn't hit. It was either way, it was close. Just mechanically, he doesn't look the same as he did last year. Not that he was a stud last year, but he doesn't look the same. So with all that said, I guess you would lean the over in that case. But I'll tell you what, 9 for this park on a 60, 68 degree day, like that's not great. Yeah, this ball will carry in this park, but like you expect to see 9s, 9.5s in St. Louis when it's very warm. I wouldn't call this like very warm. The wind's not helping you either. So needless to say, it just becomes an easy game to pass for me. Don't love anything here. Again, the line feels a little thick in favor of Matz, but not enough for me to really, really want to jump in on the Pirates in this spot. So let's go to the next game. Blue Jays, Rays, Yusei Kikuchi, definitely have a good experience with him overall. Decent Seattle fan, and I didn't love him in Seattle. He's been okay in Toronto. He's a guy that doesn't really get a lot of strikeouts, typically struggles with right-handed bats. And the Rays finally got the devil off their shoulder or whatever you want to call it, devil off their back by finally losing a game. Calvin Falker, meet the parents, LOL. Another one of these typical Tampa Bay Ray glorified bullpen dudes, but I'm sure they're just going to open with him anyway. And I'm not sure who's coming in behind him. I don't necessarily think it matters. I don't like these games. I think if you wanted to, look, it's very likely the Rays are going to go on a skid, whether it's now or later. It's likely going to happen. They just started the season way too hot, and they were also playing a lot of bad teams. I'm not saying that the skid is going to start today, though, but I do think you're getting a decent price on Kikuchi here at home. I hate him versus right-handed, like teams that have decent righties, and the Rays do have decent right-handed bats. I don't know if we don't have a lineup yet. You are getting a decent lineup out of the Jays today. And look, I mean, the Jays have been really good too, right? It's just that the Rays have been unbelievable. I'll be honest, I think this almost feels a bit like an overreaction line. Okay, just giving a lot of respect to the Rays in this spot. So yeah, ultimately slight lean Jays, and Fleming's good. So I don't mind that with him being the guy that comes in behind him. It looks like we are starting to get a lineup, and it looks like a decent lineup from the Rays. But with all that said, another easy pass spot for me. It's slight lean Jays at the price, but not enough of value for me to want to fire on it. Nats, Guardians. Zach Plesac, who we all love, LOL. Chad Kuhl, another guy who we all love. You got a total of 9.5 in Nats Park, which, yeah, you'd see 2 starters like this and immediately think, oh, this has got to be an over. But I will say that this park has good carry when it's very warm. I would not consider this very warm weather for Washington. We will definitely see some games this summer that with humidity touch 100 for sure in this park. 75 is like neutral. And I just look at this like on a neutral park with 2 below average arms, 9.5 feels like a big number for this park. So, with that said, take it for what it's worth. Both these guys are going to get into multiple jams in this game. Will it result in runs? Will there be home runs? Who knows? But 9.5 is a pretty big number for this park, all things considered, with these 2 starting. But I will pass here. I definitely wouldn't bet the under. It's just like you're not going to feel good about it. It's going to be likely guys on every inning. You're going to be, and if you're watching this game, you're likely going to sweat every inning. So yeah, ultimately another spot where just best for me to pass on. Padres, Brewers, Freddie Peralta, that's Seth Lugo. So it's interesting, right? Like the Mets started to make Lugo a bit of a starter last year. And the Padres are kind of just keeping him with that. Again, he's really like was a glorified pen guy, but now he's basically full-blown starter. He's going 100 pitches. Freddie Peralta, the interesting thing with Peralta has always been his road stuff, right? Like home road splits for Peralta have always been, his issue. And to me, it's comparable versus the situation we were talking before with Gibson, because Peralta's on the same team, right? He's got the same mojo, same flow there, same vibe. As for this, though, I don't know. I actually thought we'd get a better line on the Padres here. I didn't realize this line would get jacked up like this. So Steam had to hit this because there's no way this line opened at this number. And it looks like it did. So I can't bet. I wouldn't bet Peralta in this spot. I mean, even if I was able to get plus 140 on the Brewers, I still wouldn't bet the Brewers in this spot. And I'm at a point now where I can't lay 150 or I can't lay a half run first five with the Padres because, look, Peralta is good, but he has shown some issues on the road. He definitely can pitch five good innings, though. That wouldn't be a crazy surprise to me. As far as the total, what are we looking at for a total here? 8. I will say that, yes, you have two good arms, but it's not going to be often where you're going to get a total of 8 with two teams that have the bats that both these teams do at this park. Like the Padres obviously bring a lot of bats to town wherever they go. The Brewers, though, also have some decent bats, especially at the top of their lineup. And they've been hitting it as well. So, I don't know. Indifferent on the total. Would have leaned the Padres before the steam for sure. This is just a lot of steam to hit one team, and it's past the point where I want to bet them. And I'm just not bullish on the Brewers in this spot either. So again, another spot where I'll stay away. Athletics, Mets, Fujinami, Carlos Carrasco, two pitchers severely struggling to start the year. Likely medians out over time in relation to this spot, though. Look, I will say this much. For this ballpark, 9 in weather that is 50 degrees, slightly blowing out, but 50 degrees. This is a massive number for this park, like massive number. Actually, before I even did this video, I didn't realize this number climbed to 9 when I was doing this before. I saw 8.5. This is likely a game I'm going to have to end up betting. Let me just look at something quick. Hold on. All right, so Joey actually has a bet in this game. I don't like giving plays to our guys. I don't like giving plays to our guys where we have the same, well, not the same bet, but we have different bets from the same game, not correlated in any way or negatively correlated, but I just don't like us being in that invested in one game specifically. But yeah, I mean, this is a definite spot where the under makes sense. And it's 9.5 now too. Like, yeah, it's just a crazy number for this park. So yeah, I mean, ultimately, I guess I'll look deeper into it. Maybe there's something I'm not seeing. Maybe you guys can tell me something I'm not seeing. I know that the arms have been bad, and I know that the Mets have bats, and they're likely going to get to Fujinami. But man, like, think about this. Like, obviously, Carrasco. Now, unless their mechanics have been that bad, like I haven't seen Carrasco. Like, unless his mechanics are that bad. But if these two played opening day in this park with this weather, this total is 8.5. Okay, it's not 9.5. So, I don't know. Is it just people, overreacting to a few bad starts from these two? Could be. Or there could be something I'm missing. Like, I don't have the FanGraphs data in front of me for both of these guys. I don't have the advanced stuff. Fujinami was pretty decently recruited to come to Oakland, right? I mean, they paid a decent amount of money to get him. And Carrasco was decent last year, much better at home than on the road, though. But yeah, so ultimately, I'll figure out what I want to do with that game. I won't make anything official for the show. I just saying, like, you're not like in this park with weather like this, with two arms that are, even if you medied them out and say they're mids together, it's just a massive number. So in that case, Porter, if the A's bullpen's been that bad, kind of like KBO-esque, you could just bet first 5 under, right? I mean, if you're gonna get a full game total of 9.5, you can definitely find the first 5 under 5, which will give you that protection. You need 6 runs. Again, I want to get to some of the more of these games, but I would definitely, if I'm Mulvey, I would look more into that game. Granted, in one sample, sure, there could be 30 runs today in that park, but over time, over the course of the season, that's just a number you're not going to see often at that park. One would assume, and granted, if the Athletics bullpen is really this bad, maybe we will start to see it, but just based on park dimensions alone, it's a big number for that park. Red Sox, Angels, Nick Pivetta, Tyler Anderson. So we're already starting to see some minor regression from Anderson. Sample small, though. I won't go crazy with that. I truly am on this belief that when pitchers go to the Dodgers, they just figure themselves out. I know Syndergaard got fucking rocked in his last start, I think. But I do believe over the course of the season, Syndergaard's going to be fine as long as he stays healthy in that system. They're just super smart over there. Like, they just know, if you're doing something improperly or your mechanics are off, it feels like they fix these things relatively quickly. So credit to them over there. But anyway, in regards to this start, Nick Pivetta, Tyler Anderson. I don't know. Pavetta's been good, but it's kind of smoke and mirrors. He tends to walk a ton of guys and has a home run issue, and the Angels are not that team to do that with. Tyler Anderson, though, a left-hander getting thrown at the Red Sox is also usually a recipe for tough news. But I don't know. I don't trust Anderson outside of the Dodgers. So over the course of the season, I'd rather be fading this dude than backing him. In a one-spot start, though, wouldn't surprise me. Totals seems about right. Maybe slightly high, but nothing crazy. 60-degree game at Fenway with 2 pitchers that you don't love necessarily. So to me, actually, it's probably one of the fair signs on the board. It's a sharp line, so I'll just stay away. Royals Braves. So this is going to be a bet for me, or was a bet for me. Bubic. Some information on our friend. I think it's Bubic, right? I think you pronounce it. I don't think it's Bubic. I'm pretty sure Bubic. Either way, I understand how scary it is when you throw a left-handed pitcher or arm at this Braves team. Okay, I know they're stacked top to bottom, right? However, Bubic needs to be pissing in a cup, I think, because if you look at his velo this year versus last, and I know it's early in the season, right? So maybe he starts the season strong and this will median itself out. But his pitches are 2 and sometimes 3 on average mile per hour faster than last year. I get it. He's had a good start, and sometimes you start to think, oh, maybe some smoke and mirrors. I don't know. Like, I'm not saying to you that he's going to have this ERA of 1.64 all year, because he's not. But he already had good stuff as it is. He just had some control issues. His velo now is higher on all his pitches. So it's not like he just beefed up his fastball. His changeup's 3 miles faster. His curveball's 3 miles faster, and he's throwing it a lot more. His fastball, he's throwing it a lot less, and it's almost 2 miles faster. I mean, he's hitting 95, 96 at times on the gun. I just think he's good. I think he's a guy that needs to be followed. I'm sorry. I think he's improved. So I think he's a guy that needs to be followed this year, because the Royals are going to be a bad team, but he is a good blemish on a bad team. And in a spot like this, I liked the first 5, so I grabbed the half run. I grabbed the half run and I bet the money line first 5. So money line first 5, 10 plus 108, and then minus 128 first 5 plus a half run. Those were on FanDuel. FanDuel had a lot of better prices today, by the way, than DraftKings, actually in every bet I made. And Bryce Elder. I'm not an Elder guy. Like, I get it. He was okay last year. They used him sparingly. His advanced stuff's But I know the Royals aren't a team that's like going to like go crazy pressuring you. But like, I look at this lineup they have out today. It's not crazy. Let's not forget the Braves are dealing with some injuries, right? Like, this isn't a team fully healthy. Michael Harris is out. I know another guy's out for them. I want to say RC is out. I think he's the other one. But like, I mean, like, I look at this lineup. I'm not like, yeah, sure, 1 through 3, and then you get Sean Murphy in there, who's good. Albies is 5. Grissom, Ozuna, Pilar, Eli White. And again, they're just throwing a bunch of righties at Bubic. But like, man, let me just see his splits. I mean, he's been, obviously it's a small sample this year, but again, the big thing for me has been the velo increase with him. And maybe all of that parlays to more confidence, because his K per 9 is like astounding. It's like almost 11, I think. Now, if you look, obviously, again, the numbers are small, but man, there is just next to no hard contact against him through 2 starts. And mind you, the Blue Jays and the Giants, it's not like these teams don't hit. So, yeah, either way, I like what I've seen from him. And I don't want to say I'm jumping on this Bubic bandwagon now. It's only 2 starts into the season. But, I mean, you're talking a guy that's got a K per 9 near 11. He's not walking anybody. Granted, I expect these numbers to begin to regress, but he just looks good to me. He just looks really good to me. And I'm not an elder guy, so I love the spot. So I think overall, Bubic has looked good. And I get it, Eric. You might be right. Braves could roll. Like, Braves can hit anybody. I want to be clear. Like, you can throw obviously a pure ace at them on the road or at home, won't matter, and they can roll. I just like the spot. I think he's been good. So yeah, that's kind of where I went. Thank you, TDC. Glad you appreciate the beer. It's actually gonna get whacked after this video. But glad you like it. Plus 1.5. Yeah. So I got it 128 at FanDuel. And then I split the bet. So I'm not have to lay 128 on that bet for the whole thing. I did split it with betting them first 5 money line as a small dog as well, plus 108. And I'll be honest, Porter, I don't even know if it's that looks too easy. I don't let myself fall into those types of traps as far as the conversations go in terms of, oh yeah, this number just looks way too easy to bet. Somebody knows something. I don't know. I actually don't think it's getting enough respect. I think Bubic should be getting more respect in this spot. He's just been really good, but I want to do the first 5. I don't trust the Royals pen. Not that the Braves pen has been any better. Braves pen's been pretty bad too, to start the year. But I think the Braves are the 4th worst ERA, bullpen ERA in baseball to start the year, which again, it's not, well, at least in the national, is it nationally? No, hold on. Might not have my numbers right. Hold, please. No, numbers weren't right. Braves have had the 7th or 8th best ERA or 6th best ERA in baseball this year. So it gets me to avoid the pens that way. So I do like that. And the Royals pen has been atrocious. So yeah, I think if the Royals are going to do well today, it's likely going to be because they do well in the beginning of the game. And not so hot at the end, especially Bubic isn't a guy that really eats innings either. So I do. That's why I was big preferring that in the first 5. All right. So we'll move on. I talked a lot on that game. Marlins, Diamondbacks. I don't know. You get Braxton Garrett for the Marlins, who's blah. I don't know much about this Nelson kid. Ryan Nelson. Spots like this are just easy fades for me. I could talk on nonsense, but I won't even. We'll just move on. Reds, Phillies. So it was nice to get the Phillies home yesterday. First 5, laying that half run. Today they bring out Matt Strom and versus Ashcraft. Now I like Graham Ashcraft. I've already mentioned this a bit. I think he's actually pretty decent. However, Strom's good. However, Strom's a lefty, I believe, and the Reds have some decent righties. I wouldn't say they're great by any means. I'm trying to see if we got any type of lineup for the Reds. Yeah, I look at the Reds lineup. It's actually kind of blah today. I don't know if they're dealing with some injuries. But Senzel must really be struggling because he's typically a lefty masher and they got him batting 6th. I don't have a Phillies lineup yet. This game's practically a pick'em. Total's 9.5. Total's about fair, to be honest. I don't think it's favorable over or under. I think it's a fair number, all things considered. Again, remember, the ball flies out of this ballpark in warm weather. It's 80 degrees. It's not super warm, but it's warm enough for that ball to carry in this park. So, yeah, I think the total's fair. I think the line's fair. To me, it's just an easy move to the next one for me. Astros, Rangers. Johnny Gray, right, going up against Hunter Brown. Hunter Brown screwed me last start, I think, right? Or maybe it's 2 starts ago. I want to say I had Tyler Mahle for the Twins at home against Hunter Brown. Hunter Brown pitched pretty well, but it was really more that Mahle didn't pitch well at all. Feels like a lot of respect for Houston here, all things considered. Johnny Gray's a good pitcher. And yeah, we call him Johnny here. I don't know, total of 8 feels about right. Well, actually, overall, it is kind of right. 8.5 was a little high. Doesn't surprise me if this number came down a bit because 8 the right number, should be the right number. I don't know. Texas first 5 if you want. Texas has been kind of so it makes it kind of tough. I know that they're playing well right now, but you kind of know where their upside kind of starts and stops. As a whole, they have decent bats, sure. But I don't know. Hunter Brown's been good. I know people like him too. So, yeah, maybe the line's a little juiced in favor of Houston. Maybe. But to me, I'll just stay away. Total's right now at 8. And even if Houston's favored slightly more than they should be, that's not much more. Dodgers, Cubs, Jameson Taillon. Doesn't surprise me. This dude's struggling. Couldn't stand him in New York. And then here is Michael Grove. It's always interesting to see a Dodgers pitcher really struggling because it just doesn't seem to happen often, and they seem to fix these problems long before they get out of hand. But they gave him a pretty long leash at Arizona in his last start. It's kind of surprising. I always love that when it just manages. We'll let these dudes just blow themselves up and blow their ERAs up on days they clearly don't have it. As for this spot, though, I'll tell you what. There ain't going to be many starts this year where Dodgers play teams like the Cubs at home and the Dodgers are only minus 150. Not going to be very common, I'll tell you that. So, yeah, look, total 9, it's okay. This ballpark, it's practically, well, I guess I can't correlate that, right, because of the DH from last year. Because I'm trying to think years back. There's not a lot of 9s, 9.5s you see in this ballpark for totals. But, yeah, you have 2 bad arms. It's hard to really pull the trigger on an under in this game. I don't know, slightly in Dodgers first 5, primarily because you're just not going to get – I don't bet Dodgers games often. You guys probably know this by now, whether I bet for them or against them. They're just a team I stay away from. And I mention that because they're either a team that gets steamed too high or when they're finally not steamed too high, you start to worry about is there value on the other side now because you're just getting a cheap price in the Dodgers. I do think this is a cheap price, all things considered. But I'll stay away. So Mariners-Rockies last game is my last bet of the day. George Kirby, Ryan Feltner. I don't like Feltner at all. This is not new news to anybody. He's just not very good. George Kirby, though. I am a Kirby guy. I know Joey Work likes Kirby. I have not liked what I've seen out of Kirby in his few starts this year. I don't know. It feels like his ERA should be even higher. If you've watched him pitch, it just feels like the dude's finds himself in trouble often. He can bail himself out. He's got decent K upside, but he has been in trouble far too often. So what I really did like here, it's actually my favorite bet of the day. Rockies team total over 2.5. It's minus 128, which is high. You guys know that I won't go higher than 135 on these bets, but minus 128. This bet feels like it should be minus 160. So the Rockies, while they're not as good, of course, away from Coors Field, we know this. This is not new news to anybody. Only twice all season, right? Twice all season. Do I got that right? Have they not scored? Sorry, 3 times all season have they not scored 3 runs. Granted, a decent amount of games at home, but they had 2 runs or less twice against the Dodgers, and then they had, well, outside of that, yeah, they only had this. So the 1-2, and they scored 1 run against the Nationals in a 1-0 win. It wouldn't surprise me if Kirby gave up 2 runs himself in the first 5 innings. And then you go to the Seattle pen, which has been good. I wouldn't say great, but it's been good. Seattle's bullpen has a whip of 141. There is just a lot of damage control happening when this bullpen comes out into games. And I don't know how much longer that can sustain itself. And I look at the Rockies team, yeah, sure, they're dealing with some injuries, but this team still has bats. This total just feels crazy to me. And I get it's going to be a cold night in Seattle. It's a tough park to hit in as it is, and it's going to be chilly. But, you're talking a lineup that should include Blackmon, Chris Bryant, Ryan McMahon, CJ Cron, Profar, maybe Mike Moustakas. 3 runs against Kirby, who's been kind of struggling to begin with, and a bullpen that's been okay. I love the spot. So I think the Rockies get a lot of opportunities to get 3 runs today. Now, granted, they obviously it wouldn't surprise me if they ended up with 1 or 2 runs or they got shut out, sure. But I don't know. I haven't loved what I've seen from Kirby. The Rockies are hitting 2.5 runs over. Feels like a really, really favorable bet today. And again, for me, it's really the fact that to me, I think it should be minus 160. So yeah, I love the spot. And you might even get people that pound this game under. That's coming up to 8 now. It looks like it's got steamed as it is. It's crazy. It's getting opened at 7, which is just crazy to me. But yes, so do like the Rockies get a lot of foot traffic today. And when you're betting overs, that's what you want, right? Foot traffic. You can do all you want to try to predict home runs. But what's more predictable is the foot traffic. And if you get enough foot traffic, you'll get enough spots to score runs. And then, yeah, if you magically get a home run with foot traffic, great. But yeah, that's kind of where my stance is. Took Reds minus 105. Don't mind that at all. I definitely didn't want to go back to the Philly well today. So no, I don't mind that at all. Astros under 8. Eric. Yeah, because obviously kind of talked on that. Makes sense to a certain extent. You do have 2 teams with live bats though. But ultimately I'll stay away. No lie, I love the D-backs today. Yeah, can't fault you. I just feel like I just like whenever you're hold on, D-backs are playing. Who are the D-backs playing? I know we talked about that game. Oh, Miami. Yeah, so you might. I don't know much about Ryan Nelson, so like maybe you have something there, viral, or maybe you kind of know about him or more than I do of him. I don't know much about him, and I'm not gonna act like I do. So, and then Braxton Garrett. So I can get why you're fading him. But yeah, and another thing, another park where 8.5 total, 2 bad arms. Could get there. But either way, honestly, truly indifferent for me. So I wish you guys the best of luck with those bets. All right, so that kind of wraps it up. 3 bets. Did I type them? I think I typed them right. So Royals team total over 2.5 minus 128. I thought I typed the other one of them. Did I? Have I really not typed any bets? Oh no, I typed Twins. Okay, so the only one I didn't type was Royals. Royals split first 5 bets. Royals first 5 money line plus 108. Royals first 5 plus 0.5 minus 128. I think it is maybe. Did I get plus 106? No, I got plus 108. All right, so yeah, so those are. That's what I bet. 3 units in play, as the cool kids say. Split the 2 Royals bets. I put Royals team total. Idiot. That's actually supposed to be Rockies team total. 2.5 minus 128. Late game hammer, if you will. But yeah, that's where we're at. Obviously, check us out, runpurebets.com. All Joey Works plays are up there today as well. Got some UFC in there too. So yeah, I know we brought in a new guy, Jamie, to help us out with UFC as well. So he'll be doing DFS stuff along with some betting stuff too. So good stuff all around. Look, I wish you guys all the best of luck today with all your bets. Decent amount of action today overall. Enjoy the Saturday weather. Hopefully it's good by you. If it's not, well, stay inside, jerk off. I don't know, play video games. But yeah, I'll be back tomorrow talking more baseball with Joey. Gary, I don't think Holden's going to make it tomorrow, but it will be just me, Joe, Gary, and then the NASCAR show as well. So look, with all that said, gamble responsibly, stay safe. And as always, run pure, folks. See you guys tomorrow.